Hello you guys, what's up? I am GojiFan1998 and welcome back for another new video for today once again. Today I'm doing for another movie review for today. As in today, it is December 29th, 2024. By that time means I am going to review, to celebrate the 51st anniversary of Toho's 1973 disaster film set, well, it's called Submersion Japan, or known as in Japan as Japan Sank in 1973. Which the movie was directed by Shiro Moritani. And this movie was one of my favorite movies of all time, and it has the best storyline and the best destruction scenes and many things what's going on in the film. Great characters in the film as well. Man, it's been 51 years since this movie came up. After the movie was released in Japan, it became the highest grossing film ever made. It became more successful than the other Godzilla film, as Toho realized that while making the movie on their own without Godzilla was more successful this time for a while. And yes, Submersion Japan, or known as Japan Sink, was really hard to find for some reason, but I did manage to get my own bootleg copy of the film that I got it on Japanese Samurai DVD website, but which is apparently got closed down before. Well, I did manage to get this one before it closed down, so that's the only thing I get lucky to get it. Now we're going to talk about way back the history about the movie, from once again like I did for other review before it, that I'm using my copy of John LeMay's book here, Terror of a Lost Tokusatsu Film, where it has a lot of information about Submersion Japan, including its original plans that was meant to happen before we have Toho one. Now you wonder why did I say that it was supposed to be Toho? Why it's not be Toho's at the time? Well, we're taking right straight that it was originally supposed to be going to be Daihei's film called The Sinking of the Japanese Archipelago was meant to happen, producing by Daiei Studio, the company made Gamera, but it did not go as planned because the Daiei Studio still got a bankrupt since after the release of Gamera vs. Zekra, so the film did not go as planned. But let's talk about a little bit of fact here. Submersion Japan is based on a novel of the same name by Sakyo Komatsu, who wrote this book. He had wrote the book in March of 1973, which is he had completed it at the time, and it became popularity. And now we're going to talk about the history of the film, which would all begin in 1964 by a novel writer named Sakyo Komatsu began his work on his epic novel Submersion Japan, which it was finally completed and published it on March 20th, 1973 by, I don't know how you pronounce that, but it says Komposha Kappa in 2 volumes. The first print was a smash successful, sell all over 3 million copies. Wow, that was really a lot of copy of the book. And so at the time, Toho had got acquired rights for the book to begin producing the film adaptation of Sakyo Komatsu's work. Then it was stated that Tomoyuki Tanaka had an opinion for every film even before it was published. But the book, Japan Sink's 1973 completed documentary, would have been made. It seems Tanaka read it very day it was published and called Kawasu on the phone that evening. In an interview with a sci-fi fiction story, Sakyo Komatsu explained it that he felt graded towards Toho for their kind treatment of him. So, the film does have features starring our main character named Dr. Takaroto. If I said his name right, then he was played by Kenjun Kobayashi. If you recognize that actor who later portrays the Prime Minister in The Return of Godzilla till 1984, Kobayashi does appear in many other Toho movies before. He does play some other movie based on a real character during World War II and many more. So, the film was all talk about what is going on, about when Japan's going to sink, and it will be because of the hands of the earthquake, tsunami, volcanic eruption, including the firestorm that had caused by a chain reaction during the earthquake and destroyed Tokyo. At first, there's a time when the movie gets a little bit too boring until over 55 minutes runtime, the action started getting so good, where the earthquake struck Tokyo and caused the entire refinery exploded, turning the whole entire city on fire to become Raging Firestorm. Yeah, I said that from one of the narrator from the trailer in the US version of Submersion Japan as Tidal Wave, but I'll get that in a moment. And it also featured Oladera, played by Hiroshi. I don't know how you pronounce that his last name, but he is the same guy who was first played as the first actor portrays the Kamen Rider in the Kamen Rider franchise. And we also got a Prime Minister Yamamoto, played by Tetsuro Tamba. If you recognize him, that he was on one of a James Bond movie, You Only Live Twice, as Tiger Tanaka. And I was like, wow, a great familiar face from another movie. For those who are in the Kamen Rider franchise, James Bond, other Toho movies, always give a good shine to see an appearance. And a little fun fact, this is also mark the last time Haruo Nekijima make an appearance in the movie, as he made a cameo playing as the Prime Minister's driver, only in the scene when the Prime Minister arrived in his private home. But he was really easy. But it was really good to see Nekijima's face one more time before he retiring in that same year in 1973. And throughout the movie, when they talk about very strange things going to happen in Japan, like the Earth is kind of like the egg, and have the strange things moving between the like a positive and negative energy to make the entire island going to sink for less than a month or so, depends on how long it's going to last, until the computer soon later revealed it was sooner than later. It was sooner than anybody's thought about it. It was a race against time to have Orodera and other people are trying to rescue many Japanese people to get them out, to evacuate Japan before the whole entire island goes sink, with the help of the United Nations trying to help many survivors as they can. The music was composed by Masaru Sato, a veteran Godzilla composer who composed this movie. And when I listen to his music in the film, it is really good. Really good to listen. Sato's score was really good, and I really loved what he did. Koshi Hashimoto was assistant director in this movie, and I really liked the way that when Mount Fuji got erupted and the entire lava came out, and it makes somehow later when Japan started getting more sinker later because of lava. So after the movie was released, but before I could conclude it, I need to talk a little bit more thing. When Kenjiro Kobayashi's character was appearing on television to talk about what's going to happen, and then he ended up got fight on the news at the time, and then he ended up got recorded, and he ended up got trouble. He was never been seen again until almost nearly at the end of the movie, and before a whole entire Japan completely sunk. But toward the end, Kobayashi's character chose to stay behind, that was really not a good idea. But in the end, the entire Japan was completely gone. For those who have survived, were in the different countries to know where they will go. So that was to talk about Submersion Japan. After the movie was successful in the box office when it came up, it follows up with the TV series that is based on it, where I believe was part of continuation where the movie left off, like Something We Miss. And it features some episode does direct by Jim Fukuda along with some other guys who were working on it. There was supposed to be going to be a sequel to follow after this movie called Continuation Submersion Japan, but it didn't go as a plan. Supposed to be to release in 1974 to 78, but it never came to be. But the movie got released in the United States as under the name was released by a New World Pictures company by Roger Corman, was given the title of Submersion Japan as Tidal Wave. Released in 1975, when the American footage was directed by Andrew Meyer. And it does have featured the American actor Lauren Green as the American ambassador. And a little fun fact, Lauren Green does appear in one of her earthquake movies before he was on Tidal Wave, that was the earthquake in 1974 by Universal Pictures, that was started with Charlton Heston. And this movie is Tidal Wave. It was kind of like a similar trick technique like Godzilla 1954 did when it came to the United States. They chopped the movie down and filled it with new scenes with the American actors. It was really, really good idea, actually. But when I saw that cut, of the Tidal Wave cut, but unfortunately, I can't even see what's going on about the movie because they use a blue lighting, but I can't see anything what's going on the in the dark setting. Like, I can't see anything. But I realized that Titan Goji, that he talked about it, and he was right. I was like, seriously? Why do you want to make this movie to get so darker that it makes the audio can't see a thing? Like, seriously? I can't see it! So anyway, afterwards, there was no plan to be made at the time. No other movie to be made for another like that until, for 1998, was supposed to be going to be another movie, was going to be a remake. Was director Kazuki Omori going to direct it, along possibility he was going to write the movie. Was supposed to be produced by the same company made behind The X from Outer Space, but unfortunately it never came to be. So that was the end of it. But then it was when the project got canceled at the time until in 2006, Submersion Japan did got a remake it was directed by Shinji Higuchi, which is, I will get to that one, whatever I'll get the time to talk about it in his own video one day. But what I heard from this book right here, there was a different draft idea was submitted it before we had the final idea was ended up being planned. And here's the thing to know. It was supposed to be going to have feature Prime Minister and his secretary were having discussion about Crisis on Golf Course, and that concept will later be reusing for Deathquake, which came out in 1980, or known as in Japan as Earthquake Archipelago. Including another idea that was meant to say where Orodero was looking for his girlfriend named Reiko in the volcanic ashes after Mount Fuji erupted. And that Kosa were not sinking or not included in the story. Which that was really does kind of confusing when there was many ideas that was meant to happen. But I'm glad some idea did make it a final cut in some other movie. Well, some did not. But it always depends on whatever producer was very interested in one of the draft my work or do not. Sakyo Komatsu's work will always continue to be used for adaptation from other Toho movies like E-Spy, Submersion of Japan, and many more. But I will plan to review these movies when I get the time. So yeah, that's where I'm going to talk about a review of Submersion Japan in 1973 to celebrate its 51st anniversary of the film. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I will always stay Beijing fans and Goji fan 1998 will always be for more and do more videos in the future. Oh, if you want more information about this movie of Submersion Japan, I recommend you go find this book, A Terror of a Lost Tokusatsu Film by John LeMay, or go check out Wikizilla to check out the trivia and production history about the movie and everything, so you'll know what's going on. So, but the movie got released on Blu-ray, only released in Japan, but it has never come released outside the United States yet. But the question is, can Arrow Video get a release on home video? Well, about Arrow Video, they were the same Disturber home video company got the Bloodthirsty trilogy released on home video on Blu-ray. I hope the Arrow Videos can release Submersion Japan in home video on Blu-ray along with the international dub in the movie, which as I heard about it, was in another Japanese Blu-ray copy with the 4K Ultra HD only released in Japan. As the angry video game nerd once said when he does talk about the Godzilla game, like, only in Japan? Only in Japan. So, that's it. Thanks for watching, you guys. Sayonara, my friends, and take care. Bye!